Good morning. Today is Sunday, September 24th, 2023. Today is Yom Kippur. The Torah says, of course, we know there are a number of rabbinically ordained fast days throughout the year, but there is only one fast day mentioned in the Torah. Shabbos Shabboson yeh lachem. This should be for you, it's referring to Yom Kippur, a Shabbos of Shabboses. Now, technically what that means is it's a super Shabbos, meaning there are all of the rules of Shabbos plus additional rules of not eating and not drinking. So it's like a super Shabbos. V'nisem es nafshosechem. We withhold food and drink from ourselves, but Tisha l'chodesh, on the 9th day of the month of Tishrei. Today, Sunday, is the 9th of Tishrei. Now, it's very strange because we all know that Yom Kippur is on the 10th of Tishrei, tonight and tomorrow. It's not today. But the Torah says that Yom Kippur is on the 9th. So the Talmud explains that the day before Yom Kippur, today, Erev Yom Kippur, today, the 9th of Tishrei, is also part of the process of Yom Kippur, even though there's no fasting. Today we're eating and we're drinking. And the Gemara says this teaches us that one who eats and drinks on the 9th of Tishrei, today, is credited as if he fasted on both the 9th and the 10th. In other words, it creates a 2-day, a 48-hour holiday that we're observing. Okay, but we need to understand why it should be a mitzvah to eat today. And in what possible way can eating today be considered as if we are fasting a second day? I mean, I understand that we should eat and drink today in order to be able to fast tomorrow. That I understand. But why is it a mitzvah? Why does it become part of the observance of Yom Kippur? So I want to share with you the answer of Rabbi Avraham Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel. He explains that the theme of Yom Kippur, as we've been discussing many times, is teshuvah, repentance. It is our soul's return to its natural state of purity before the mistakes that we have made. And Rav Kook explains that there are two major aspects, two major paths through which we achieve this teshuvah. The first is we need to restore the spiritual sensitivity of our souls, because when we overindulge in physical things, when we make mistakes about how we interact with the world, the foods we ate, the places we go, when we commit these errors, these sins, what happens is our spiritual soul gets dulled, it gets sullied. And so there is a need to refine it, to bring it back to the way it was before we committed these sins. And the way that we refine the physical part of what we have done wrong is temporarily we reject physical enjoyment. On Yom Kippur, we don't eat, we don't drink. We set aside eating and drinking and other kinds of physical pursuits, and we substitute for that prayer and reflection, purely spiritual pursuits. On Yom Kippur itself, on the 10th, tomorrow, we are in a much more spiritual mode. We push away the physical parts of our life. And what that does is it cleanses the neshama, the soul of us, that had become dulled through the misuse or the overuse of that material attraction and temptation. And that's why Yom Kippur is Shabbos Shabboson, a Shabbos of Shabboses, a super Shabbos, to be super spiritual, pushing away the physical in order to cleanse the neshama, the soul. However, that's not the aim of Jewish life. The aim of Jewish life is not asceticism. The aim of Jewish life is not to always push away the physical and the mundane. And therefore, there's a second layer of teshuvah, and this one is much more practical, and that is, we need to become accustomed to acting properly and avoiding the pitfalls of material desires that go against God's laws. So when we are eating and drinking and not praying all day, we need to be able to do that correctly, do that in accordance with God's will, to elevate that. And Rav Kook explains that type of teshuvah is not attained by fasting and prayer, but it is attained by preserving our spiritual integrity while we are involved in worldly affairs, while we are eating and drinking. Rav Kook has a famous phrase that our goal in life is not to negate chol, not to negate that which is mundane and secular and physical. No, but letaher et hachol. Rav Kook said to purify that which is mundane, to elevate it, to take the eating and the drinking and the working and the leisure pursuits, to take all the things in our mundane lives and purify them, elevate them to the service of God. And so the true goal of Yom Kippur is achieved when we can remain faithful to God's Torah, not just when we are fasting and praying all day, but when we're going about our regular daily pursuits after Yom Kippur. How do we do this type of teshuvah? This aspect of teshuvah we fulfill today on the 9th of Tishrei, when we're eating and we're drinking and we're going about our mundane activities. It's a weekday. But the Torah tells us, elevate that as if it is a part of Yom Kippur, because this part, the eating and the drinking and the mundane life that we are elevating, doing it for the purpose of repentance on Yom Kippur, this then becomes part of the teshuvah process and becomes an aspect that leads us to the goal that we're looking for. And so by having today, the 9th of Tishrei, as a day of eating and drinking and going about our mundane activities, what we do is, with the combination of today and tomorrow, we ensure that the spiritual refinement of Yom Kippur that we will have tomorrow is not isolated to that one day. It's not isolated just to the time that we're not eating, not drinking, only praying all day, but rather it will have an influence on the entire year's worth of worldly involvement. The inner meditative teshuvah of the 10th of Tishrei, writes Rav Kook, is thus complemented by the practical teshuvah of the 9th. And this element is so important that the Torah calls today Yom Kippur. So I wish you a happy Yom Kippur today and a happy Yom Kippur tomorrow. I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.